Singapore is the second wealthiest country in the world. Is the rich having it all, while the middle class are feeling left behind? Is the income inequality widening? Are Singaporeans less happy than people from other countries? We're going to discuss this today.
What's up, guys? Pritam Singh spoke about two Singapores during a recent parliament session. He said, one Singapore consists of high-income earners who are connected to the global economy and world's development, such as the finance and tech industries. The other Singapore is the middle class, who are feeling they cannot keep up with the pace of rising housing prices, rising car prices.
If Singapore does not do more, a threat that has loomed large on the horizon in the last few years of the potential emergence of two Singapores may become reality. One Singapore is connected to the world as a hub economy. It is where high salaries and opportunities abound, and where locals, and crucially many foreigners too, power diverse nodes of the economy. The other Singapore is one where the majority of Singaporeans live. It is one where there are perceptions of slowing social mobility connected to the reality of high housing prices. Today, the prospect of upgrading to a condominium or a landed property, unlike in decades past, is not as realistic for HDB homeowners. Buying a car is an out-of-reach luxury for most people, unlike in many other countries.
Some Singaporeans have dubbed the high-income earners the Switzerland of Asia. Switzerland is the fifth richest country in the world, with GDP per capita, or PPP, of 87,500 international dollars. PPP, or purchasing power parity, converts the currency of one country into another by applying the rate to buy the same amount of goods and services in each country. In other words, PPP is the real GDP. Actually, Luxembourg is the richest country in the world, but people are more familiar with Switzerland. And Switzerland is also similar to Singapore, with a small population of 8.5 million and limited natural resources. Many billionaires, businessmen, and high net worth individuals have moved to Singapore over the past few years. These are mostly from China, after the CCP's persecution of tech industries and other industries as well over the last 2 years. Many finance companies and businesses have also moved from Hong Kong after the implementation of the National Security Law in 2020 by the CCP. Singapore has nearly 250,000 millionaires, 336 centi-millionaires, those who have more than 100 million, and 26 billionaires, and ranked fifth, just behind New York, Tokyo, San Francisco Bay, and London. With so many rich people coming into Singapore, it is no wonder that 4 in 5 Singaporeans worry about income inequality. 7 in 10 Singaporeans think that income inequality has worsened over the past 5 years. The rich are buying houses, condominiums, and cars, and the middle-income Singaporeans feel they are no longer affordable. Housing prices have skyrocketed in Singapore. Condominium prices have risen for 28 consecutive months. Prices rose 8.4% last year and 10.6% in 2021. What about landed houses? Prices have also increased by 33.7% over the last 2 years since November 2020. Prices of private properties have escalated so much that Singaporeans have turned to buying HDBs instead. HDB prices have also risen 32 months in a row. Prices have increased 10.3% last year and 12.7% the year before. Can you believe that 40 HDBs were sold for over $1 million in January? This is unheard of. One unit at the Pinnacle at Duxton, located at the Prime District of Singapore, was sold at a record-breaking $1.34 million in February. Car prices are also escalating. Singapore is now the 5th most expensive country in the world to buy a car. Those cars above 1,600 cc, prices have more than doubled to 116,000. An ordinary mid-sized sedan car costs at least $135,000 and has become a luxury, not a necessity. The COE is only for a 10-year usage of the car. Imagine how much Singaporeans would have to pay just to have a car over the course of their lives. What about healthcare costs? Singapore has one of the most efficient healthcare systems in the world, and the government spends $10 billion a year on healthcare. Healthcare costs has increased by 54.8% over the last 20 years, and the average healthcare inflation is 2.21%. Healthcare costs are expected to rise to 9.8% this year. It is no surprise, isn't it? Singapore is the second wealthiest country in the world, and how much has income grown? Let's take a look at the numbers from the Department of Statistics. The monthly median income, which is the 50% mark of the income distribution of each household in Singapore, is nearly $10,100. The median income for each household member is nearly $3,300, meaning you take the household income of $10,100 divided by the number of members in the household. After adjusting for inflation, the real median income per household member has grown 2.3% every year over the last 6 years. But the inflation does not take into account the increase in housing and car prices. In the middle income field, the increase in real income cannot catch up with rising housing and car prices. What about the low-income Singaporeans? How far off are their income from the middle class? There are 100,000 Singaporean workers who earn less than $1,300 a month, which is about 40% of the median income per household member. 100,000 workers is about 1.8% of Singapore's working population of 5.6 million. These are mostly elderlies. According to a 2019 study, an elderly would need at least $1,400 a month for basic necessities. Well, the Singapore's government provides subsidies of between $141 to $333 a month, depending on the age. The subsidies help, but are they enough? Can you live on $1,400 to $1,600 a month in Singapore? Does Singapore have more low-income earners than other wealthy countries? Switzerland has 722,000 low-income workers, which is 8.5% of the total population. This is higher than Singapore's 1.8%. The average low-income Swiss earns nearly 2,300 Swiss francs, or 3,350 Singapore dollars a month, around 2.4 times higher than Singapore. But we do not know the real income between the two countries. Perhaps the same goods and services in Switzerland are more expensive than in Singapore. So is income inequality widening in Singapore? Here comes the moment of truth. Drum rolls, please. The income inequality has actually declined. Surprise, surprise. Singapore's Gini coefficient was 0.378. or 37.8 after adjusting for government's transfer and taxes. The Gini coefficient measures the extent to which the distribution of income within a country deviates from a perfectly equal distribution. A coefficient of 0 means everyone has the same income. The most unequal income distribution is 100, where all the income goes to only one person in the country. In fact, Singapore's income inequality has declined over the past 11 years, even if the income inequality is not as wide as Singaporeans think. The middle class will be unhappy if they can't afford the properties and cars that rich people can. Indeed, Singaporeans are less happy as compared to other wealthy countries. Singapore ranks 32 in the Happiness Index. Look at the people in Luxembourg, the richest country in the world, and yet they are one of the happiest people, ranked at number 8. What about Switzerland, the 5th wealthiest country in the world? The Swiss are the 5th happiest people in the world. Perhaps people in Luxembourg and Switzerland have very different outlook on life than Singaporeans. A friend once told me life is about choices and to live within your means. I guess some people have more, while others have less. Less is more. And living a simple life means less stressful and a happier life. Don't you agree? If you like the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.